Hi everybody, this is Sean from Momentum, and I have a very, if not the most, very special guest in the whole wide world on the podcast. For those of you listening, obviously you cannot see her. For those of you watching, you can see her. This is my wife, Nancy, Mrs. Momentum. And here we want to talk and share about her weight loss journey, her balance and lifestyle, and basically being married to me as well. So without any more delay, let's please introduce and give a warm welcome to my wife, Nancy. This is Nancy.
Hi everyone.
So you're gonna have to speak a little bit louder, nice and loud as if you're shouting.
Okay.
So basically today we want to obviously know about your training life and your training journey because you've been making amazing progress, might I say. I'm very proud of you, honey.
Thank you, baby.
So what I'm going to say is, can you please share about yourself for those of you who don't know you at all?
I'm Nancy. I am Sean's wife, behind the scenes of Momentum. I also am a creative, so I'm a photographer, graphic designer, dabble in graphic designing, and I do a lot of the marketing imagery for Momentum. And I also have a full-time job in admin.
So you're saying that you have a full-time job in admin. How's that coming across?
I've been there, 6-7 years?
Yay! It's obviously going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a little bit different because obviously I know all about Nancy, but I want to be able to make sure that she can share things with you. So tell us about the whole dynamic about basically us, because obviously you work behind the scenes with Momentum, you do all the hard work with that. What does that involve? I
am Sean's receptionist, admin, bookkeeper, anything to do with scheduling. I try to keep everything running when he's busy running everything else.
That includes mostly my personal life because I have absolutely no time.
I'm his PA on weekends as well, so I don't get paid for that, and I should get paid overtime. But
I pay you with love. Okay, so I'm going to go straight into it because off the bat it's hard to go. This is me, so I'm going to go and give you just a few quick 5 shots. Answer as fast as possible, and obviously don't think about it. First thing goes to your mind. What's your favorite food?
Burgers.
What's your favorite country?
Japan.
Who's your favorite person?
Sean.
Good answer. Who's Sean? This is hubby.
My husband. I don't really call him by his first name. It's a thing we have with a gripe where it's like, am I in trouble if you call me Nancy or Sean?
Yeah, no, we don't do that here. Do you prefer summer or winter?
I do not do well in heat. But I do love hot summer nights, but no winter.
Yeah, you do not do
I don't do well in heat. I just overheat and I just have no energy. Don't want to do anything.
So you get flustered.
Yep.
We discovered that in Singapore.
That's just too hot.
And also, do you prefer a night in or a night out?
Now nights in, because we have our own space now, our own house and home, so I'm really enjoying being in, but then I also like changing it up and going out, so a bit of both.
We're a quiet night out.
Yes, now.
Yeah, now we are.
Guys, we're turning 30 this year, so it's a little bit harder.
For those of you following the journey, I am 30 in 29 weeks. We're 29 weeks out until I turn 30, everybody. So for those of you who are listening to the podcast, now we always go ahead. Look, if you have any questions, please ask us in our free Facebook group. If you're not already, please follow me on Instagram. You click the link in the bio and you can find the free Facebook group there. We give you free recipe books, free tutorials. We answer a lot of questions for free, might I add, but also gives you an opportunity for you to talk to us and we can integrate this into our podcasts. So if you have any questions, we want to check the group, check out Instagram as well. So follow us on Instagram, which is Sean.momentum, momentum.active, and what's your Instagram handle now?
Nancy_co, but without the A Nancy.
Yeah, we are. Fancy here. We don't use vowels. And basically, this is how you can connect with us so we can answer the questions that you want directly. So without any more delay, let's go straight into it. Let's talk about your training. and how we can kind of help people out there. First of all, what are some of the results that you've achieved this year, in the last 12 months? Tell me all about that.
So last year in September, we decided to track our daily habits, and that started off with, was it 7,000 steps a day? I think?
I completely forgot about that. Yeah,
That's what motivated or started this whole sort of journey. Because we were training, well, I was training all through our relationship, but in terms of how it kind of peaked or spiked was in September. We did a 7,000 steps challenge for a whole month, I think, and every day we had to hit a certain amount.
Yeah, then every week we kind of reset the goal.
Yeah, every week we reset to kind of increase the steps or decrease if we needed to, if we weren't managing well with our goals, just ensuring that we were hitting our goals really. And that started giving me a bit more, I guess, direction of what I was doing, because that was a goal that we wanted to hit together. So that kept me accountable with you doing it with me. And then from there we were kind of, you turned 29 in September.
I sure did.
And then we kind of started talking about being the best versions of ourselves by 30, which is this year.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure about your circles, but I mean, our circles are the same now. But everyone always says this. Oh, when you turn 30.
It's the end of the world.
I know, right?
It's the end of the world.
And to me, in my industry, in my field especially, when you turn 30, with the people that come through to our clinic, you either have something or you don't have something. You know, like that could be diabetes, a back injury, a knee injury, you know, all these other things. And I think, no, I'm not going to let that happen to me. And it also kind of like stemmed from the fact that I finished my weightlifting comp last year and I go, what's the next goal? I'm lost. So that's where the step goal came. And then we're like, you know what? We're going to be better by 30. We're going to fit by 30. We're going to be amazing at 30.
Yeah.
And it just kind of drove because your birthday was coming up in December.
Yes. And that kind of just initiated this whole be your best version by 30, just because why not? Like, it's just, our culture is so, I guess, based on age and that being a limiting factor. And I just don't see how you can't just reset that even at a later stage or age.
I truly believe that age is just a number. Don't get me wrong, you shouldn't be doing things like you're 20 and you shouldn't be trying to do things like you're younger than you are. But you shouldn't also let, on the other end, the number of your age drive you to not do things ever.
Yes.
And limit yourself. So you had a few goals that you wanted to go through turning into 30. Do you know what those 3 goals are? What you want to share with the people out there?
Well, to find enjoyment again in exercising, I think was important, just because based on our previous podcast earlier, dance was my output, my sport, my athletic peak, and just trying to train again where it's not a chore was hard and difficult to find, I think, and especially going to a gym where initially we were going to a commercial gym because we didn't have momentum yet. And I think the lack of community, or because Sean couldn't come with me every time I wanted to go to the gym because he was obviously working, trying to find the enjoyment again in training by myself or with other people, finding my own community. Weight loss, life happened. We got comfortable. Our relationship, we enjoy food, guys. Like, it's not, that's life.
We still do.
And just being able to change some of the habits that kind of form throughout the years, especially with work and how busy and stressful that can be. I think I found myself in quite a routine where it's quite unhealthy. Being office-based, not giving away where I work full-time. Being office-based and predominantly sitting in a chair in front of a computer, that also didn't drive much movement for exercise.
Yeah. Well, let's have a look into this, okay? So at the moment, how many kilos have you lost?
Since September, probably 5 to 6.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's kind of maintaining now.
And we haven't really done any measurements. So the first thing was, how do you think the body composition of yourself has decreased? Because it's like you made amazing changes with 5 kilos, but I'm going to tell you, like, straight up, it doesn't look like 5. It looks like a whole lot more. So where did you find that you found a lot of change happening?
From your affirmations and compliments.
Yeah.
I think because previously it was hard for me to look at stats, and the scale was a really big, not fear, but I guess I just had so much negative connotations or emotional blocks with measuring myself or scales, just because you always strive to be your younger self, and you kind of like, damn, that's a lot. But I mean, now that's a lot healthier, and I'm a lot healthier. It's easier to digest. But before, I think that happens with everyone. You kind of, if you don't see it, you pay no attention. It doesn't live in your emotional.
Everyone always seems to always compare themselves to when they were younger. Like, I'll get people who are like in their 30s, mid 30s, early 40s, like, oh, I want to get back into my shape like I was when I was 19. I was like, well, first of all, you were 19. You can't do that. And second of all, you're setting yourself up for failure. And we always say to people, you want to be the best version of yourself, of who you are, where you can be currently. And I think you've definitely done that. I think in the 5 years that we've been together, this is the best I've ever seen you. But even saying that, we made sure so many parameters were there so you wouldn't fail, despite the fact, numbers, emotions, and all that, because I'm a data guy. And I was like, you just need to do this, and then just don't ever look at it. You're like, I can't do it. How did you find coming across that? Like, how did you, first of all, find combating that? Because you trusted the process after a while. And then how did you go, you know what, the scales are just numbers. I'm just going to get some data. The photos are just where the journey's going, not where I'm going to end. How did you go across that, and how did you combat that?
I think just knowing what your goal was, it kind of helps you eliminate some of the factors and fear behind it. So like you said, now it's just stats. But before then, it was just such an emotional, like, I don't want to step on scales because it's just too much to see. And kind of, you have to have so much work to get to your final goal if I know those stats. Whereas now, it's just a tool. So in order to get there, I think it was just to realize what your goal was and what's going to help you achieve your next goal.
Yeah.
So knowing those stats and data, my body weight, my measurements, my photos, helps you plan for me better.
Yeah.
So I just had to overcome that mentally and emotionally, and then now it's just a tool. It's a really good tool now because I can see a lot of change, and guys, do your before photos because it's worth it.
Oh my gosh, everyone always regrets it.
It's because you don't want to see it. And I understand now, and you don't have to be stripped down to your underwear. You can just find your favorite shirt that you used to wear or a favorite shirt that you train in and just take the photos. I guarantee you won't regret it because I do not now. But it is just overcoming the mental or emotional hurdle does take a lot, but as long as you know, end result, this is where you want to be, it really does help. Helps your coaches, helps your professionals.
It is one of those things, and look, if you have a goal and you have something that's roadblocking you, I guess I would have to go, look, you have to eventually, like, what do they call it, immersion therapy? You have to like throw yourself into it. Like, if I had to, win $1 million and I had to hold a spider or something, it's like, well, give me a damn spider, right? But, I'm not going to hold a spider because of fun. It's not fun. But you need to try and find out what you need to. This is me though. And I'm not saying everyone has to do it, but if you want to track strength, you have to know where your strength is. If you want to track how much money you can make, you need to track how much money you have now. So to me, I know a lot of people get that anxiety to jump on the scales and take the photo, but to a certain extent, you have to come to terms with it, would you say? Like, this is all opinion, might I say.
It's your starting point. You would like to see where you started, and when you think you're going to finish is where you want to see the difference. But I don't think there's no finish line for me at this stage. There's like, I'm just going to keep going and perfecting and being the better version of myself. But it's also really nice to see how far you've come, so you can physically see your hard work and measure it. You can see it in real time.
The rewards of the journey. And that's why I want everyone to always take these photos, because if you take photos, say in December, and then you don't do it in January, then you don't do it in February, then you don't do it in March, and you see it in, say, April, but you had no adjustments between December and April, is because your coach didn't know what to do, because they don't know what they're seeing, and you don't know what's happening. And then it becomes 4 months of just lull. You've lulled for 4 months as opposed to actually making progress for 4 months. So are you saying to everyone out there, look, it's a good idea to make sure you track these things?
Yes.
Yeah, good. Now, obviously, there's an emotional attachment to it. So what can you do if someone's got some, say, really, really big emotional attachments to their numbers in the photos?
How to help it?
Yeah, like did you do anything that helps them? Or did you do anything that helped you?
I just really again, visualizing my goal and my end journey, I just overcame it, or I just did it just because I trusted you. It wasn't like you're going to leak that information anywhere, or like, use me as a case study without my permission, things like that. Like I knew there was like a sensitive barrier between the data I was gathering for you. So I was just like, look, if it helps you do your job at the end of the day, I'd just go over it. But at the same time, I think leading up to it, I wasn't your perfect client, and I kept saying, look, I do want to lose weight, but I don't want you to know what my weight was. Or I didn't take photos because I was really self-conscious, but that wasn't helping anyone. So I think for me, it was just to get over it and start using it as a tool to start measuring my journey. It's not for everyone. Like I can't just say get over it to everyone, but it's definitely how I got to it, because I was like, look, I want to be in the best shape by 30. So what am I now?
Yeah.
To see what I can do by 30. Exactly. So it made sense for me to get over it. But unless you know, again with your other podcast, unless you know your why goal, you don't really know why you're going to do it. Yeah.
Well, for those of you who don't know your why goals, DM us and we'll help you with that. Or DM me at least, because my wife doesn't do the
Not
why
the expert, just married to him.
Hey. So that's really good to say. And I'm going to say to everyone else out there, first of all, if you don't want to see your photos and numbers all the time, do it with your coach once per week. Don't look at them. But you do need to eventually review them, because you need to know how we're going to do this. Because if your coach is saying, hey, look, you got to do that and do that, you're like, why? You're not going to have any motive and no skin in the game, essentially. Now, the second part I'd like to talk about is obviously, or the third part, should I say, is actually talking about office-based cultures, because I personally have never worked in an office. I've worked in an office for like 9 months, or it was worse. But saying that, a lot of people don't understand what it's like me, or even saying that people understand too much about the office culture. So one of the things that actually made it quite evident for me was when we went out to actually meet up with your cousins, and the guy goes, where's your ID? And I said, I don't have my ID. Actually, you didn't have your ID, sorry.
Naughty.
I know, we're almost 30, stop asking us for ID, guys. And the guy goes, why don't you just have your ID in the back of your phone when you go for after work drinks? And I say, I work in a gym, we don't have after work drinks. You know what we do after work? We work out. Different bar. So once again, that's culture in a nutshell. So what's it like, office culture? You've been doing it for 7 years, coming from a more athletic background and more aware, obviously married to me. What are things that you didn't realize that you tuned out, or maybe you've been succumbed to, and eventually you've actually started to, be aware, like, no, taboo, or like, no, got to be a little bit more aware?
Off the bat, it's the constant sitting down. So computer screens, you're constantly hunched over, typing, whatever you're doing, reporting, constantly at your desk, so you're not moving. We're fortunate enough in our office where we have stand-up desks, so I try to make a healthy habit of standing up every hour just to kind of stretch out, and you don't get that little hunch action
like
going.
Right now?
Yeah, like the little hunch that you kind of build because you're just so captivated in what you're doing. I've also noticed emotional eating. So when you're stressed, we rely on emotional eating. So working in office, so depending on your deadlines and your culture and how your workflow is, emotional eating is a really big factor in office culture. So when you're stressed, you kind of seek comfort in what you know.
Nom nom nom, eat your feelings.
Yes, and vending machines at the office where it's like just chips and there's no substitute to
I haven't
anything.
seen a normal vending machine in so long.
We have like two.
The only vending
Soft
machines,
drink and snacks, right?
the only vending machines I see are the ones at the gym, and it's like protein shakes, protein bar.
The good
pre-workout.
vending machine.
The better vending machine. I still don't live off those ones, but I'm not gonna lie. When I go to the gym, I walk. I'm like, that looks interesting. I wouldn't mind spending $5 on a pre-workout that I don't need. But so everyone's living off vending machines, eh?
Yes, and it's you can just see the poor habits that have built throughout the years. I can see people cracking up Cokes full sugar, no sugar. Cokes full sugar in the morning for breakfast, and bags of twisties and chips for breakfast. But again, learning from Sean, there's no good or bad food here, but I also don't think that
It's
a full
habits.
can of sugar and chips is your breakfast choice.
I think the thing is, like, in my head, it's so easy to substitute that. So if you work in an office and you're like, I don't have time to eat, go get a protein bar. There we go. That substitutes your twisties. Or what you could do is go to your local cafe and ask for poached eggs on toast. Like simple. Or even saying that if you still don't have time, go to Woolworths and you get a Greek yogurt and a coffee.
For us, that's simple, but for the majority,
It's the awareness.
I just find it so interesting where, a group of 10 people, 6 out of those 10 won't do that.
Yeah.
Which is such an alarming thing to kind of notice in an office now, because
Oh yeah.
people it's easier just to,
Go to the vending machine.
Coke open than it is to, either make coffee or as another alternative to your, I guess, caffeine fix in the morning.
It's definitely something that I'm like, I just don't get it. Because there is literally, Jane, welcome to the club, I've got back pain too. What are you going to do about it though? Like, anyone out there who doesn't know, I have incredibly great back pain, don't I, honey?
Yes.
Oh yeah, the matter. This is one time my back hurt so badly, went to the physio.
Oh my goodness.
Got needled by my physio. And to everyone else out there, I understand that dry needling, I don't know, it's not this type of podcast, but dry needling actually does help me. But I was very, body was very, very sensitive. I was walking on probably like a 0.1 decline on a footpath. For people watching on the video, it's like, this is flat and this was the incline. My hand barely moved. And I was having spasms all down my legs and I was crying. But laughing at the same time.
I wasn't laughing at all.
No, that happened for a whole week. So I know what back pain feels like. But I always told Nancy, I was like, look, this is scary because I think it could be permanent. I was being over dramatic, don't get me wrong. But then I said to her, like, I'm going to do everything I can. If I need to sleep, I'll sleep. If I need to walk, I'll walk. If I need to stretch, I'll stretch. Give me all the water, I'll drink it. Like, it's about what am I going to do the next day. Then I had little mini breakdowns throughout the day. Relapse is part of the process. So every time I had a problem, I can say hand on my heart, after having a breakdown, I say to Nancy, all right, this is what I'm going to do. Okay? Because I remember another time.
How many times?
Oh my gosh, there's so many other things. We were going to a wedding and I was wearing a suit. And you're like, are you ready yet? I'm like, no.
You brought this up last week and I don't recall this at all.
Really?
Yeah. No.
It was an engagement party actually. No, it was a suit. I remember wearing a suit. And I was like, I don't like this. Maybe I was trying to hide a lot more from you about how hurt I was. And I was like, I used to own this suit. And then from that day on, secretly, I made a little pact in my head, like, nah, I'm going to start training harder now. And I've been pretty good since, I'm not going to lie.
Cutie.
I'm still sad. Anyway.
That suit will come back, guys, don't worry.
Yes, I will return the suit soon. I forgot what we were talking about. Anyway, office cultures. So, obviously everyone has really poor habits to it. And then what's some of the other office cultures that you see? Like Friday night drinks is a big thing, isn't it?
Oh yeah, everyone lives for the weekend, whereas we to an extent live for the weekend because we're ready for bed.
I had a great nap before this. That's why I'm still a little bit
To be fair,
disorientated.
we work and play hard, okay? Yes, Friday, especially because right downstairs where I'm located, there is a very popular bar, and everyone that's the waterhole.
Mm.
Oh, drinking cold.
You're asking the wrong person here.
On a Friday, everyone's just like, oh, we're ready to cock out and we'll just meet downstairs for a drink, where it's kind of not just one drink, you know, you kind of have one or two, then you kind of head home.
Getting thirsty.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that means. I'm very sheltered, everybody. They're big guy.
But yes, Friday night drinks is very big still.
Well, that's a funny thing because Stefan, everyone knows Stefan on the show, if not from our social medias. He's coaching me, and I was actually talking to you about this too. And he goes, you know what, Sean? You're going to have more food on the weekends. Everyone else wants it to use it for parties or for drinks and everything. But you're going to go hard on the weekend training at the bar, at the gym. And I was like, yes, I am. And then I was talking to Nancy, and she was saying, I was saying, so I was like, do you find it weird that on a Friday after work, after working all these long hours, I just want to go to the gym and train? And you're like, no, that's you time.
It's our lifestyle now. It's not anyone else's. So it makes sense to us. Whereas for outside looking in, we're the weird ones, which is interesting because you kind of, how did, you know, binge drinking become the norm on a Friday night rather than trying to be healthy?
Or no, anyway. And then
I don't think there's anything wrong with Friday night drinks. I feel like it's in such a 9 to 5 work culture, it is warranted. It is, you know, you do, if you have a stressful week or whatever, you do gravitate to it, but I don't think that it should be every week. If your job is that stressful every week, you kind of need to evaluate how to stress relief that rather than to always wanting to go for a drink.
Yeah.
Because then that becomes a bigger problem.
It's not the act of it, it's the dosage response of how often you do it, the consistency of it. Because no one workout is good for you. Don't go working out tomorrow morning at 4 a.m. because I do it. Because unless you do it consistently, it's not going to help you. But, you know, you're going to catch us out one day, maybe 29 weeks from now, going to this watering hole and getting some drinks. But that's, once again, our lifestyle of doing it, you know, on special occasions.
It's so unnatural coming from you.
Hey. And then, like, for me, I love training, and I try to make sure it doesn't influence and affect your lifestyle because I don't want it to eat into our time. So then the way I think about it is, you know, I've got work at 7:30 on a Saturday. I'm going to wake up at 5 o'clock. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to train till 6:30, 7 o'clock, go to work at 7:30. I'll finish work at 12. And we have our time. It doesn't actually eat into our time. And I feel like that's very normal. But I guess some people think like training is a chore. And I always say to them, it's kind of like, you know, if you're listening to this podcast right now, I'm preaching to the converted. You know, this 30-minute podcast will benefit you, but if you make the time for it, because it can save you potentially 6 months worth of, you know, problems of just all constantly dieting and training. So that's a really good thing to talk about as well. So talk about some of the changes you've made, you know, compared to everyone else in your office that you think has helped you a lot more. One of them was standing a lot more.
Yes. And just what we've been learning in Momentum and what I kind of, I guess, every day practicing my goals or my habit changes. So I think in the start as well, loose calorie counting really did help. Not that I was counting macros to a T, but then you kind of explain how to track my macros and how to read labels. So portion control was a really big thing. So I'm not stress eating as much anymore because I don't feel like I need to.
Yeah.
So even, you know, with my deadlines and how stressful work is, I don't find myself stress eating as much as I used to. So there's no more, you know, bags of chips in my cupboard and desk and snack drawer.
Yeah, we used to have a snack drawer when we first started dating. It's like, oh, that's so cool. By the way, I never try and influence you. I just say, hey, look, I'm doing this. You can do it too if you want to. I try not to pressure you too much.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't pressure you, but, you know, that's different on the outside in. So you don't have a snack drawer anymore. Thank you very much.
Yes. No more snack drawers. Portion control is a really big one. I think now understanding what's on my plate and how much food I actually need to feel full is a lot different to when we first started dating. I'm not overeating anymore.
We used to
To feel,
overeat so much.
yeah, to feel full. Whereas I think that was part enjoyment, part trying to torture ourselves at the same time with the overeating.
There was this one time we went to a buffet in Crown Towers,
Yes.
or Epicurean for those of you out there, and we ate so much.
Sean was not okay.
I looked like I was drunk. I felt like I was drunk.
Just overeating and being so uncomfortable. I don't do that anymore, so it's really, yeah.
The funny thing was, that was like, we were like, oh, we're going to go Epicurean again the next week anyway, so we're going to warm up, you know, this is trading. That was not good. That was not good practice. Yeah, so we do eat still quite a bit, but we don't eat to the point that, you know, we overboard it. And I think that's a really good point to just kind of walk and talk into about how we do our nutrition here, because I am very like to the T. I would do it to the T. That's me. That's my personality. I've done it many times and I think it works. I know it works because I manage it. But for yourself, you've been doing it loosely, as you mentioned. What are some of the things that you've been doing and how have you been doing it to make it part of your lifestyle?
So I'm very flexible with my nutrition, which is what really helps with what I'm doing at the moment because I don't feel restricted. We currently meal prep, but I think maybe 2-3 meals and then we kind of go into the next one because I find it really hard to eat the same meals 5 times in a row, which you're fine with, but I'm not because I just need more variety.
I can change it once a week.
To enjoy what, you know, training so hard you want to enjoy what you're eating. So if I'm not enjoying what I'm eating too, what's the point?
Look, to be fair, that's okay because I don't get home till what, 7 p.m, 7:30 p.m. So I'm like, just food. Don't need to enjoy it.
Yeah, well, you're starving by that point, whereas I still have time to enjoy my meals throughout the day, and I would like to enjoy them.
So let's give some examples out there, okay? So for breakfast for me, it's generally my lunch twice. So I just have like, what's a good example of what we have for lunch?
Mince and
Rice.
and
Yeah.
veggies.
So I'm not gonna lie, Nancy does most of the cooking because she is the number one in the house. Actually, number one in my heart, sorry. And so how do we cook this mince, honey?
What do you mean, how do we cook it?
Some people want to know how you cook it.
Well, it's really not that, you know, exciting. It's
I love
hot
it.
pan, oil, onion, mince, seasoning, salt, pepper, whatever sauce you want, or whatever seasoning that we have that week.
Soy sauce is usually a good one.
A nice small batch of rice, whether that be brown rice or basmati. We don't really eat jasmine rice here because
Yeah.
Sean doesn't really eat rice.
I don't eat rice, everybody. No surprise. If you don't know that already.
And I
then-
can't eat a whole thing of rice to myself, so we limit our rice eating in this house apparently.
Other things that we also use are chicken.
Yeah, chicken. I've kind of started perfecting a chicken breast recipe, which is really just slicing it really thin and hot wok or pan and, you know, a couple of minutes each side so it doesn't feel like you're eating rubber when you reheat it. And season it however way you want to, teriyaki sauce, whatever.
We use
Lots of
teriyaki quite a bit.
veggies. Sean eats frozen veggies out of the bag.
Yeah, just and a microwave, easy done.
So that's volume. So the flexible eating for me has been really like the critical part of my whole journey. Just because I don't like being restricted of what I'm eating, and I feel like now that I know what portions in terms of my plate needs to be protein, carbs and fats, and it's a lot easier to be on that loose, flexible diet.
And for those people out there who think it is actually restrictive, we still enjoy the dessert afterwards.
Yes.
So what do we like to eat after dinner? Because I feel like this is the only thing that I can kind of really enjoy for the day. Because I'm gonna go like breakfast and lunch. I'm kind of like, dinner. I enjoy eating what we just mentioned before, so I actually really like that.
Yes.
And your mum.
You like to know in advance what we're eating, whereas I'm just like on the fly. I'm like,
No,
oh, let's
I
make
need
this.
to know.
Why? It's a surprise every night.
Even to you.
Dessert. Ice
Yes.
cream.
Oh yes.
And your favorite cereal. We eat cereal for dessert and dinner.
So this is why I don't like eating rice and noodles, because I'd rather eat my carbohydrates in the form of ice cream and cereal. Okay. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not getting like the full sugar cereal, despite the fact if you are following us on Instagram, I did have some lovely Cinnamon Toast Crunch, which is basically so much sugar it dissolves your teeth. It's amazing. But if you actually learn how to read labels, not all cereal is bad. So some of the cereal that we tend to have are like Cocoa Pops.
Yes, or what's the rice bubbles,
Rice Bubbles.
where you do that protein
And
shake,
you put it with a protein shake instead. It's great. It's like,
macro friendly.
yeah, it's like better Cocoa Pops. But if you know how to read a label, you go 1 serving, which is roughly about 33 grams in a metric cup. I know that. And it's about 7 grams of sugar per 33. So that's actually not that much. For those people out there going, that's so much sugar. I mean, I literally don't eat sugar throughout the whole day. And then I'll have 2 servings of that, which is roughly about 14 grams of sugar per day. That's a hell of a lot less than some people out there who probably have 2 teaspoons of sugar inside their coffee. Just saying.
Yeah.
Once again, power of reading labels. What else do we have here? We always like to splurge a little bit. We have little mochi ice creams. We have some yogurt.
Oh yeah, mochi ice creams, or I'll make waffles, and we can do sugar-free maple syrup and like whatever toppings we want. I kind of make it a little bit more, not healthy, but you know,
Delicious.
yeah, a little bit more macro-friendly, I should say, because we don't. Sean's drilled it into me that there's no good or bad food. There's just portions. So
Oh my gosh, that was your favorite question the first time. Hey, is this bad? Is
he
this
used
good?
to hate me saying,
Used to.
you still hate, no, sorry, you still hate when I ask, is this food good or bad? It's his pet peeve. And then he'll go, what do you mean good or bad? How much of it are you eating? And it's just like, that finally drilled into my head. I was like, oh, you're right, there is no good or bad food. It's just how much consumption and how much you're eating it
Well, we just
in terms of portion.
we had bacon this morning. The streakiest bacon, might I add. It was delicious. Maple streak bacon. And it had 8 servings in the packet. Now, I'm not gonna lie, that's not a lot. It's probably like 6, maybe 7, maybe actually 8 rashers, very small rashers. If you ate the whole packet, there was 56 grams of fat in that. That's probably that's most people's day's intake. And the thing is,
Even in the air fryer?
yeah, in the air fryer too. But the thing is, even if you put it as 56 and someone who didn't know that ate the whole packet, and that's how overconsumption happens, because it doesn't actually keep you full. Now, bacon's tasty. Bacon's tasty.
Tasty as.
But bacon is tasty. And that's where a lot of people don't understand, like, oh, it's so light though, how can it be bad? Well, you need to learn what the actual food is,
Made of.
made of,
Yes.
constituted of. That's a law. I'm looking too much other
Okay,
stuff
relax.
out there. So knowing what it's made of can help you have the power to know how much of it you can eat. Is there any other things that someone could just take quick action right now? So we're going to go to start to summarize this up. If you have someone who's starting off their journey, like yourself, who's lost 5 kilos, lost centimeters, and then like heaps of centimeters around your waist, and strength, gotten stronger, feeling more confident, what are some tips that you would give to someone who is a beginner? Give them 3 tips.
Before and after photos. Start with your before. Understand your goals. So if you don't know how to goal set, hire a professional, because you kind of need to establish that to know why you're doing it and why you're getting out of bed.
You don't lie. A lot of people lie.
Be realistic with yourself as well. So time management, find out what you can physically and mentally do before you start, because I think the mental component when you first start is also really important than just the physical start.
Oh yeah.
Because you need to understand why you're doing it, and you need to understand why you're draining all your energy to kind of head towards this goal. So I think time management is really important. Is that 3?
No, keep going. Don't worry about the list now.
Yeah, I think organisation and being realistic with yourself and understanding what you're capable of right now. So don't overshoot yourself, because that's how you fail. If you're not seeing results as well, speak to your coaches, because there's something that we can change or talk through, examine whatever you need to do to kind of help you realign your goals. And if you're not seeing results, again, I think it's a matter of communication.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, the easier thing to do with all of this is like, oh, I'm going to take this drink, I'm going to take this diet, I'm going to take these pills, I just want something quick. But I'm not going to lie, most people who end up going down this route, either A, have never done it, and B, are just going to keep doing it again. And then I call them professional dieters because they've been on every single diet in the world, and they've probably done more than me. But the thing is, the number one thing that's going to drive you forward is actually working through the mistakes or the problem and breaking it down, as opposed to just going around it. And a lot of people go, oh look, roadblock, can't do it, go somewhere else, do something else completely different, when really they needed just to see what the problem was, break it down and go, do we actually need to pivot or do we just need to modify around it, as opposed to just turning the other way. And that's where a lot of people just program hop, never end up making any success on their goals at all.
I think what's really worked is I didn't do anything extreme. Like there was no extreme, like A to B.
Yeah.
It's just little, baby steps where it was like, we started off with the 7,000 steps and it's like, what's the next thing? I wanted to train at least 2 to 3 times a week.
Yeah.
So I tracked that. And then within my programming, what did we want to change?
Yeah.
So then you started adding a little bit more cardio to kind of help me with the weight loss. But
we haven't actually added cardio properly in. You've done it.
No, it's only been
the last 3 weeks and you're sick for 2 of those.
Yeah, the last month. So I haven't done any excessive cardio. I've just literally focused on my strength training, portion control,
consistency.
So besides me getting sick, boost the chat, it was literally me training 3 times a week since September. I haven't really missed, besides my birthday, I don't think I've missed any weeks of training since, but that also is because training is now fun. So you need to get to that point where it's enjoying, like you can enjoy what you're doing.
And being part of a community helps so much. And like, it doesn't have to be a face-to-face community, it can be literally an online community. I'm on like so many online communities that it keeps me encouraged, especially when it comes to training, work, nutrition, and then obviously I have my community at home as well with Mrs. Momentum. So what are some mistakes that you've made that you would tell people to stop making? It's kind of the same as the 3 tips, but don't use the opposite, that's cheating.
I guess not mistakes, but in terms of what I've overcome and what other people have overcome is, again, the before and after photos. I think it's just such a great tool to see where you've started and where you want to be, I guess.
Yeah.
Again, is not a mistake, but something I've overcome, again, is the good and food, like bad and good food.
The good food, bad food
concept of dieting.
Yeah.
So I'm not restricting myself. I don't have to limit myself anymore. If I crave something, I'll eat it. Like, there's just no real hardcore diets that I'm following at this stage. It's just literally portion control, understanding my macros and what my target is for the day. Sometimes I don't even hit my targets because I don't feel like eating, but I kind of force myself to eat just so I know that I'm on the right path. You know, some days you fall off and you eat more than what you need to, but nothing's permanent.
Then you just pick up the next day.
Exactly. So don't lose focus on motivation over a bad day.
So try not to be too emotionally tired from the previous days.
Yes. And I guess, again, the emotional attachment to food, like I've learnt to not stress eat. So that's a really good tool. So if you're stressed, go for a walk. I go for walks during my lunches in the office just so I can kind of de-stress and kind of get away from the screens. So I use that as my tool now. So find out what works for you, build good habits, and it doesn't have to be drastic. So not a mistake that I've learnt, like stop comparing yourself to the best version that you were and start focusing on where you want to be.
Right, and then also don't compare yourself to others too.
Oh yeah, I don't think that was one of my issues. I think it was just me trying to compete with myself, which is my own trait. But for right now, I'm really happy with what we've been able to do for myself and what we've done for the team. So it's been a lot more enjoyable to get into the gym and train with everyone else. So it's been,
A big thing from my perspective to you guys is that I always said, look, if the reason why you're not doing it is because maybe you're not seeing me do it. And I've had to be a little bit more aware of putting myself out there, of my progress photos, my weights, my food, my tracking of my habits, my tracking of my nutrition, Do you feel like that's helped you quite a bit as well?
Yeah, I think I feel not as a leader, but I think you're right. People do look up to us to an extent, and kind of, if the results are working for either one of us, it means we're doing something right.
It kind of also means that you're giving permission to the next person, but yeah, you can take your progress photos. That's cool.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
Yeah.
And
you lead by example.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what I was trying to tell people at the gym. Like, you need to start doing these things so I can help you. And then when I go to the commercial gym, that I'm very scared of going by myself, might I add, because you're no longer there, is that I'm going to start filming my exercises, and everyone's going to look at me really weird, but I'm going to say to myself, you know what, I'm giving you guys permission to bring your tripod to the gym and start to break down your training and being a little bit better with it. I told myself that, but I get my footage out now, and you guys can watch my vlogs.
Cute.
So that's all I got for today, everyone. If you want to follow my wife on Instagram, where can they find you, honey?
Nancy_Co without the A.
So that's N and
CY
underscore co. If not, just DM me and I'll show you. If you want to follow me, my name is Sean.momentum. That's SEAN.momentum. That's the superior way of spelling Sean. Anyone out there, you can find me. If you want to follow us on YouTube, it's also Sean Momentum. And if you want any free resources, head over to the link in my bio on Instagram. You can also find our free Facebook group where we give you, should I say, more free tips, more training, more guides to help you live that flexible lifestyle, be the better version of yourself, and start to feel more confident. And that's exactly what we want to do with Momentum. So if you want to know more about that, find us on Instagram. That's going to be the best place to find everything. We're going to sign off there. Do you have anything else you want to say before you head off?
Thanks, everyone.
Well, keep going, keep building momentum, guys, because momentum is key. Peace out.